Hendricks 87 in vain as King shines on home soil for West Indies. The hosts were on track for a bigger total before a late collapse, but were still able to come away with victory. Brandon King brought up a fine half-century in the 5th men's T20 darts between West Indies and India at Lauderhill on August 13, 2023. West Indies scored 175 for 8, with King scoring 79, Bartman taking 3 for 26, and Felucqueo 3 for 28. They beat South Africa, who managed 147, with Hendricks scoring 87, Moti taking 3 for 25, and Ford 3 for 27, by 28 runs. As T20 World Cup co-hosts, West Indies got on the front foot in their final preparations for the tournament with a commanding 28-run win over South Africa, marking their biggest margin of victory over them while batting first. Neither side had their first-choice Hectoine available, with some players rested or still at the IPL, but West Indies will be pleased with their dominance at home, especially as this was the first international at Sabina Park in almost 2 years. Homeboy Brandon King, captaining in place of Rovman Powell, set the tone with an aggressive 45-ball 79. He also shared in a 79-run second-wicket partnership with Kyle Mayers, who is not in the T20 World Cup squad. King was the mainstay as West Indies built a healthy platform with scores of 64 for 1 in the power play and 109 for 1 at the halfway stage, but they lost 6 for 40 between the 14th and final over to finish on 175 for 8. South Africa will have been encouraged with their bowling comeback, especially the early signs from Otniel Bartman. On T20I debut, Bartman dismissed Johnson Charles early on, but then pulled up in his delivery stride after 10 balls, with what looked like a left knee niggle. However, he completed the over and went on to take 3 for 26. All-rounder Andile Felucqueo also finished with 3 wickets in his quota of 4 overs. While West Indies hit 7 fours and 8 sixes in the first 10 overs, South Africa scored 8 fours and 1 6. South Africa needed 99 runs off the last 10 overs, and though Reeza Hendricks went on a career-best 87 off 51 balls, his surge came too late. Gudakesh Moti's 3 for 25 and Obed McCoy's 2 for 15 meant South Africa were too far behind and eventually dismissed for 147 in the final over. On his home ground and in his first match as an international captain, Brandon King dominated South Africa up front and set the tone for West Indies' comeback to Sabina Park. He enjoyed the bulk of the strike in the first 3 overs and capitalized on that. King faced 16 out of 18 balls and scored 28, including 3 fours and 2 sixes. By contrast, Charles only saw 2 balls and had not scored a run. Charles became Bartman's first international wicket, but King went on to record his fastest T20 150 off 26 balls and was closing in on his highest score. His display was headlined by innovative movement at the crease, which included exposing his stumps. Felucqueo eventually benefited from King making room when he sent down a full wide ball that King had to reach for, and toe-ended it to Van der Dussen, who ran to his right from the covers. King was dismissed at the end of the 11th over for 79, 6 fewer than his T20 career best. West Indies' middle order gives way. After King's start, West Indies should have been eyeing a total above 200, but their middle order was unable to back up their stand-in captain's start. No one from Andre Fletcher down was able to get into double figures, and Matthew Ford's 5 was the highest score outside the top 4. Fletcher and Fabian Allen were guilty of trying to play Felucqueo across the line, and were bowled and trapped LBW respectively, while Akil Hossain and Ford were deceived by Bartman's variations. Hossain was bowled by a wobble seam delivery, and Ford pulled a knuckleball square of the wicket. Modi's run out in the final over meant West Indies lost 6 for 40 in the final third of their innings. Ford's first. After figures of 0 for 54 in his first T21 against England last December, Ford may have wondered if he was due to chase leather again when de Kock hit his first ball for 4. It was a remarkably timed shot, with no footwork at all, as de Kock struck Ford straight down the ground. But the young West Indian had the perfect riposte. His next delivery was wide of off stump. De Kock neglected to move his feet again and nicked behind. De Kock's dismissal for 4 meant that he has only crossed 53 times in 30 innings, all in T20s, since his ODI retirement last November, and has a top score of 12 from his last 5 trips to the crease. Another Hendricks half-century. Hendricks controversially missed out on a spot in South Africa's starting slate at the 2022 T20 World Cup, despite scoring 450s in succession in the lead-up because he could not displace captain Temba Bavuma. But there should be no reason for him not to start the tournament this time. His 87 was his 10th T20 half-century of 2024 and 49th in his career, and was the standout knock in a disappointing South African batting performance. He was the only player to score more than 20. The highlights of his performance were the way he timed the ball early on and then showed off his power hitting towards the end, albeit too late to take South Africa over the line.